The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. Hello, everybody. How are we all doing today? It is a Monday, first Monday of December. And boy, oh boy, is Mother Nature kind of proving that it's December because it has been very cold the last couple of days. It is very much quickly dipped from I feel like we had a couple of days in a row where it was like 50s, 60s, maybe high 40s. And then it's like, bam, there you go. There's 30, 29, 22. I don't think it's going to be above 32 until at least next week. So, welcome to winter in Ohio. It hits in a hurry. If you don't know or you can't read down there, I'm Anthony Hartwig, the host of Running Point. If you can't see up there, Greenwood Chevrolet is our sponsor. Has been since day one of Running Point. This is your favorite daytime local sports talk show / podcast, whatever you want to call it. Just don't call it lame because I need validation and I'll be sad. So thank you so much for tuning in today. What a great show for you guys. We have plenty to talk about the things that happened over the weekend, both basketball and football. We also will dive into, of course, what's happening tonight. I think we'll have time to get to more Coaches Corners season previews as well that we have not yet gotten to. So make sure to stay tuned for that as well. Let's start out with the scoreboard, right? The scoreboard on ysnlive.com to check out. We'll start with Friday since that's the last day that we were not here for recaps. So Friday, November 29th, this was a very busy day on YSN. I'm going to full screen it. We had football, basketball, both boys and girls. All three of those sports were in action, and we talk about the football. And unfortunately, wait, before we do that, reminder that the scoreboard is brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. If you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, make sure to check them out. What am I saying? I got my two sponsors mixed up. Come on, Anthony. I have two sponsors to talk about. Burnett Pools and Greenwood. Don't mix those two up. Do not go to Burnett Pools to get cars. It won't work well. Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs is the proud sponsor of the YSN Score. Woo! Welcome to Monday. That was the proud sponsor of the YSN Scoreboard. The YSN Scoreboard is a great tool for the YSN fans, whether they are at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, they don't want to look away from the screen for too long, and the YSN Scoreboard is a great and easy way to get updated scores across the YSN family. Whether they be your heated rivals or your best friends, there's no better place to get updated on what they're doing. The YSN Scoreboard can be found at ysnlive.com/scores and is once presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. So, yeah, football was not exactly what we pictured when we went into Friday night. We had the hopes of having three teams in the state championship this weekend. As you can see, unfortunately, we have none. That's just the way it went. We will start off by talking about Ursuline going up against Toledo Central Catholic, the reigning back-to-back state champions. They're going for a third straight this weekend in Canton. It was a very defensive matchup. Both teams forced turnovers. It was kind of one of those ones where I don't think people expected it to be this kind of game going into it. Both teams had offensive numbers throughout the playoffs, especially you saw what Ysn did against Gilmore Academy, 54 points. But it was 6-0 for a long, long time. Ysn led almost this whole game until about 49 seconds left in the game. Toledo Central Catholic went down, scored a touchdown. They did what teams that win championships do. They made the necessary plays down the stretch to win the game. 7-6. Ysn still had a chance in this game. Were able to get in range of I think like 42 or 44, somewhere around their yard field goal to win it. Unfortunately, for the Irish of Ysn, it did not go in, and that was the final score, 7-6. I feel for Ysn because they've had some very big, heartbreaking losses in the state rounds. The last couple of years, they've been so close knocking on this door of a state championship. Haven't been able to knock it down in this kind of era, in this run of football. But what a great season for Ysn, and what a great run they had for sure. But unfortunately, in 7-6, the final score there from Elyria. Tim Corso did write a story for this, so you can find a recap of this game if you missed the broadcast on ysnlive.com. We go to the South Range versus Liberty Center. This was a rematch of the state semifinals 2 seasons ago, where South Range won and then eventually won the state championship over Ironton. So I'm sure there were some, especially for the coaching staff, maybe some of the veteran players. This was circled a couple times, like, hey, we're seeing that team that knocked us out of state a couple of years ago from Liberty Center's side. And it started out that way. This game started out looking like Liberty Center was on a mission, right? They scored the first 14 points of the game. 2 big plays, right? So the play action 40, 50-yard bomb for a touchdown, and then the punt return that set up a touchdown as well. But just like they have been doing every season, every game this season, South Range took some big plays, took some punches, and they just absorbed it, and this looked like it was going to be a game where they did that again. They scored the next 14 points. They then, after their second touchdown, they forced a 3-and-out, got the ball back, and it looked like everything was going smooth. And then it went off the rails in a very big hurry. 4 turnovers for South Range in this game. It went from 14-14 with about 8 minutes to go or so in the second quarter to a quick 34-14 halftime deficit. Liberty Center scored 2 touchdowns in like 20 seconds down the stretch of the second quarter. Turnovers can really, really just decimate your chances in the playoffs, of course, and that's not anything new. That's not something that no one knows. The too many turnovers in this game for South Range. Four turnovers in the state semifinals just won't cut it. It stinks for South Range. It really does sting, because when you have a game like that where you're turning the ball over or you're not really executing, you feel like that's more on you than more on that team was just better than us. You just feel like, well, we just didn't execute. And down the road, that'll feel better, because it's like, well, that's just an us thing that we can fix and we can try to get back. But right now, that kind of hurts, right? Because that you have that feeling like, man, if we just, man, this is what South Range opponents have been saying a couple of times this year. If we just played clean football, we'd be right there. And they proved it, because the first, the second quarter, up until that point, they were playing clean football. They were 14-14. They were right there. They ran the ball pretty well. Dominguez had 80 yards on the ground on 13 or 14 carries. So they were moving the ball pretty well. You just can't turn the ball over. And that's not that's not anything new. That's not a bright idea. That's not reinventing the wheel. Good news for South Range is, like I said, that was just an execution thing. That's not we were overwhelmed, we were outgunned, we were just outmatched in every sense of the word. That was just hey, we didn't execute. And as much as that stings on the fly, I think when they start to take a couple of steps back from that game and start to work towards next year, they're going to see like we have the dudes, we have the pieces on paper. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't something that like where we're supposed to be in this round, and we can win these games because South Range could play 20, 30 games, and they might have one or two, and this would be the one. Unfortunately, it just came in the wrong time where they have 4 turnovers and they just don't play well. It just unfortunately happened at a very inopportune time in the state semifinal, and props to Liberty Center for taking advantage of the opportunities they were given with the turnovers and making sure that they put their foot down and they didn't let South Range get away with those mistakes. But at the same time, South Range right there, and then I really felt like this game. I was like, when I was listening to it, I got to listen to some of it. I was at a basketball game halftime. I got to tune into really the second touchdown and then the 3-and-out defensive drive. I really thought South Range was sitting pretty. This seemed like a typical South Range game, right, where they give up some big plays, they give up some big momentum kind of swings, but then they never let it really phase them. This was the first time where momentum really swung the other way. It was never able to swing back. I full-heartedly even thought at halftime when I saw it was 34-14, I said, South Range is good at turning the momentum right back. I thought they might be able to like score a couple of times, maybe make it 34-28 or something and get back in there. I really did have a lot of faith that could happen. But Liberty Center is the first team this year that got momentum and kept it against South Range. They did not let the Raiders score in the second half, and they were able to tack on another 15 points to their 34-14 lead already. So final score for this one, Liberty Center going to the state championship against Ironton, 49-14. They beat South Range. And then Avon is able to beat Hoban 35-10, the final score there. Hoban, they actually played well early too. They had a big interception in the second quarter. They were up in the second quarter, I believe, 10-7. And then that was a game that turned in a hurry, just like the South Range game did. Avon took momentum and kept it. And in the playoffs, when you have little momentum swings, you have to turn that into pendulum, big momentum swings and then hold on to it. And both those teams, that both our YSN teams played, you got to give them a little tip of the hat for being able to do that, because it's not as easy in playoffs because you're playing really good teams that can really take some momentum plays back from you. And both of them took the momentum and then kept it. So congratulations to Avon and Liberty Center and Toledo Central Catholic for the wins. Congratulations to Ursuline, South Range, and Hoban on the great seasons, all getting to the state semifinals. But that will close the door on football. In one fell swoop, our football coverage has reached an end, and it's just in time because this is the week where by the end of the week, I believe every basketball team except for South Range and probably Ursuline and maybe even Hoban, maybe these 3 teams will have started their season. We'll get to this when we talk about the upcoming schedule again. But South Range has officially postponed both their games this week. On the boys' side of basketball, they will not play at West Branch tomorrow. They will not play at home against Louisville on Saturday as originally scheduled. Those games have both been moved, rescheduled, and planned for. So they will play at West Branch on December 27th, and they will play at Louisville on February 15th. So that will be the times they've rescheduled those games, which means South Range's first boys basketball game of the season will be a week from Friday, which would be the 13th, I think, Friday the 13th. That'll be their first game. They'll be at Girard to open up league play with their first game of the season. Not exactly ideal. You always want a couple of times to get your feet wet before you have to go and play the games that really matter when you talk about conference standings, but they will sacrifice that little hurdle for a trip to the state semifinals for their football team, I think, every day of the week. So once again, South Range will play at Girard a week from Friday, and that'll be their first boys game of the season. We talk about boys basketball that went down on Friday. Austin Fitch travels to Struthers and they're able to get the win 87 to 46. Canfield got tested in their first game of the year as they traveled to Cheney, and they were able to pull out a 50 to 43 win on the road. And Landon China had a really big game for the Cardinals in this one. When we look at the final stats for it, he had 15 points on the day. And then another big thing that happened for Canfield in this game is Drew Shapiro was able to break the all-time assist record at Canfield. He has 317 career assists now. He was able to have 7 of them against Cheney with 13 points on the day, so a 13.7 assist night for Shapiro. He is now the all-time leading assist getter at Canfield, the senior point guard for the Cardinals. Jefferson and Maple Heights was canceled because they had some weather up there. They still have some weather up there in Ashtabula County. Orange was able to play. They were able to beat up Cleveland Collinwood 63 to 36, the final score there. West Branch got their season started with a 72 to 57 loss to Akron Garfield. Heartland Christian opened up their time in the Lisbon Tip-Off Classic. They got the big win over Salem, 75 to 41, the final score there. Lisbon fell to Mogador in the same Tip-Off Classic, 67 to 35 was the final there. Both the winners and the losers played on Saturday, so we'll see them again on the next day's scoreboard. East Liverpool had a big comeback win over Pennsylvania powerhouse Lincoln Park. They outscored Lincoln Park 40 to 14 in the second half on their way to a 51 to 47 win at Geneva College. So a big one for the Potters. There, Quentin Conrad had a big day for them as well. Beaver gets the win over Grove City, 60 to 52 to open up their season. McDonald goes on the road, beats a very good small school in Bristol, 67-64. The win there. When you talk about Bristol, I was able to see them at Warren Harding a couple of Saturdays ago during the boys basketball preview, and they can really shoot. They're a big team as far as their size goes, not their depth on the bench. They're a small school, but they're just size. They're a bigger team that can shoot. That's always hard to guard. So you can tell McDonald was going to have to score in this game, and they definitely did. Just enough. 67-64 was the final. East falls to Marlington on the road to open up their season. 66 to 44 was the final score. And then Louisville, they were able to get the win over Talmadge, 69 to 52. A couple of girls' games on Friday. Struthers fell to Warren Harding, 63-27. Those Raiders look really good. A lot of, they're not a YSN school. But a lot of people think they might be the favorites to win that AAC. So we'll have to see how the Boardmans, the Howlands, and the Fitches of the world compete with Warren Harding. But they look really good, and they took it to a Struthers team that barely lost to Middle Ridge earlier that week. So Struthers off to a rocky, tumultuous start that they're going to have to bounce back from. Excuse me. And then we have Middlefield Cardinal. They went to LeBray. LeBray scored 43 points in the first half, an absolute barrage. I was at this game. Their shooting in the first half was just the difference. I mean, Ella Kuzmal went off with, I think, 3 threes in the first half. Riley Rowe was shooting well. They were getting a great inside presence from Mariah Jones. A good driving ability from Marissa Levinsky. She had double figures. I mean, it was just a good day. It was a good day for LeBray offensively. Now, I'm sure Mandy Rowe would have loved to see a little bit more of a consistent game. I mean, they were up by 22 at halftime, 43-21. And as you can see from the final, 59-43. 59-43. Cardinal kind of righted the ship a little bit in the second half, and they actually won the second half. So I think Coach Rowe wants to see a little bit more, of that foot on the gas pedal. You don't want to score 43 in one half and then 16 in the second half. You want to see consistent offense. But that is a nitpick when you win a game the way they did, and you protect your home floor against a very young, scrappy Cardinal team. So I would say, for LeBray, I would say, you take your win and you move on. They're 2-1 on the season with a win against Niles and now Cardinal. Orange got the 7-0 win in hockey over Whitmer from Toledo as well on Friday. We go to Saturday's slate. I know this was a big day for local football fans. Ohio State, my condolences to those fans out there. I know that's a tough one. If it makes you feel any better, Ohio State fans, I know I'm not a local Ohio State fan myself, but if it makes you feel any better, I feel your pain. If you watch this show, you know I'm a Georgia Tech fan, and I think everyone in the country by this time knows how that game went on Friday against Georgia. If you don't know, Georgia is the biggest rival on Georgia Tech's schedule. They call it clean old-fashioned hate, And we got as probably as close as you can to beating the number 6 team on the road in Athens without doing it. 8 overtimes. I was emotionally drained. So, Buckeye fans, I know it was a little bit different because Georgia Tech wasn't expected to win that game, and you guys were definitely expected to beat Michigan. But at the same time, I know what it's like to lose a game that really you care a lot about. So I'm right there with you. Sometimes it's not easy to be a fan of a team. You just got to kind of buckle down, remember why you support them, and fight the good fight, right? So we go into Saturday's games. Boys basketball, both these Ashtabula County games got canceled. Edgewood, Grand Valley, Jefferson, and Iroquois. They both got canceled. Lisbon and Salem played in the second game of that tip-off classic. Salem got the 54-47 win. That was the losers bracket game, so the consolation third place game for that one. Salem gets the win there. Southern went to Edison. They fell 69-53. Was the final score there. LeBray got the win over Struthers to open the year, 60-54. LeBray dealing with a couple of health issues. They hope to get some people back later on this season, so they're trying to navigate that. They did a good job against Struthers, a very tough team to welcome into their home floor. New Falls played a very competitive game against Ravenna. They were able to pull it out, 50-43. The final score there. The Tigers get the win. Western Reserve went to Smithville, fell to the Smithies, 58-33 was the final there. Mooney opens the season with a dominating win over the Academy of Urban Scholars, 74-16 is the final score in that one. We go to Ursuline. They fall 75-60 over Lutheran West. Beaver, they get the win over Franklin area, 75-41 the final score. And then in the championship from Lisbon in the Tip-Off Classic, Mogador is able to win over Heartland, 61-39 the final score there. Some girls basketball games happened on Saturday. Southern Local was able to host Frontier, and Frontier gets to win 49-29. There, Jackson Milton, they're able to beat Medina Christian 39-25, the final score. Jackson Milton still unbeaten early in the season. And then in hockey, Orange falls to Normandy 3-2, the final score in that one. So we go from that weekend scoreboard. We will go into today's scoreboard a little bit later on in the show to preview what's going on today. We'll give you a quick step. There you go. Flipping up the scoreboard. That's a little quick look at the games that are happening. But we'll come back to that a little bit later on the show and talk about the games that are happening tonight. But first, we have to talk to some of our sponsors. We have to keep the lights on a little bit. So we will hear from our sponsors and be back after this break with more Running Point, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens. using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, explore scenic landscapes, take time to relax and be well, connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by those people that you just heard from in that commercial break. Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm Anthony Hartwig. We're trying to go the extra mile for you, just like our sponsors do at Greenwood. And we continue to do that today with more Coach's Corners and season previews. From the boys' basketball season, we have Josh Upshire, the head coach from the Badger Braves. He'll be featured on today's episode. So we're hoping you enjoy this interview as much as we enjoy talking to Josh Upshire. He's one of our favorites. And we are so happy that Badger is another YSN team, and we are happy to cover them this season. So here is, I can't get the mouse there. Monday, man. Monday, I'll tell you. Josh Upshire from Badger. Here's his coach's corner and season preview. Anthony Hartwig here with a basketball coach's corner and season preview. Josh Upshire, the head coach of the boys program in Badger, joining us. Coach, thanks for coming on. You know we love talking to you.
Thank you, Anthony. It's always a pleasure to be on here.
So before we talk about all the exciting things that we have in store for Badger this year, let's have a little recap of last year and some of the lessons that you think the returning players can kind of learn and take away from the things the team went through last year.
Yeah, we had a good season last year. We won the league for the first time since 2005. It didn't end the way we wanted it to. Lost in the first round to Heartland, but to have a player like Duncan Moy come through your program, playing at Cal right now, and doing very well there. To have him come through and do what he did, not just on the court, but off the court, the impact that he had on our program and in the community. We're hoping that transitions over to a new year and a lot of new faces in our program and in our youth program. And, we're hoping that those carry over into this year and in the future.
So now as we talk about the future and which is now, the future is now, Coach. Let's talk about this roster that we have for you this year and the names that we're going to be seeing and hearing from Badger on the court.
Yeah, so we have some returners back. We have starting with Lewis Flowers, who is our returning point guard. Lewis just gets after it every day. My talk in the locker room is we know every day what we're getting out of Lewis Flowers. He's exciting to watch and not sure he ever tires out. But then we have two sophomores, Jack Harnett coming back. Jack had a big season for us last year. We expect big things from him this year, not only scoring the ball, but rebounding as well. Then we have Alton Winchak coming back, who he didn't get a whole lot of playing time last year, but he did get some good minutes for us, and we're expecting him to fill in some scoring for us. A kid who came back out that we were expecting big things for last year, Tyler McWilliams, played big minutes for us. If anybody remembers in our district final game against Cornerstone a few years back, he actually hit 2 or 3 threes for us. So he came back out. We're excited for that. We have some new faces coming out in Ian Tricker and Deegan Hunkus. Deegan previously played at Brookfield. He's actually lived in our district, so he's able to come back and play right away for us. Very good athlete. Same with Ian Tricker. He hasn't played since, I believe, 4th grade. He hasn't played, but he's a super athlete. Very good jump shot. Excuse me. We're excited to see what he can do, some of the things that he can do on the court. And then we'll just have some younger guys fill in throughout our time.
When we talk about your schedule this year, like you said, you won the league, so the target's on your back. What do you see out of the league this year, and where do you see Badger kind of falling into it?
Our league is always going to be tough. It starts at the top with Bristol and PV. Those are always the two on top. But we have Grand Valley coming in this year. That's going to be tough. Wyndham's going to be much improved. I think they're probably one of the sleepers, in my opinion. A lot of people don't realize how good they can be. But I heard Jack Eyes playing this year, and phenomenal football kid and really good athlete. They had a kid sitting out the second half last year. But yeah, Wyndham's probably my sleeper. You still have Matthews, who's a rival of ours. That one's always a fun game for us. Then we have Fairport Harbor. They lost a bunch of seniors last year, but they have 2 guards who are probably the top in our league, along with Dom Toto. We have Ashtabula St. John, who I heard they got some kids in. So, that'll be we play them up at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse this year. So that'll be a fun game for us. But every night's a grind. We have Maplewood early on in the season. So another rival for us that, has gone back and forth. And, we're just excited every night to lace them up and see what we can do in our league, and hopefully expectations throughout the league are low for us, and we could prove people wrong this year.
And with league play, there's always so much at stake. There, you have to win every game you can to try to get a conference championship. But then when you go outside of the league, it's more about just testing yourselves, sharpening the tools, and getting ready for postseason. So talk about some of the non-conference teams that pop up and some of the schools you're excited to play in and really test yourself against.
Yeah, actually starts opening night for us. The night before Thanksgiving, we have a girls-boys doubleheader here. With Brookfield. Don't know a whole lot about Brookfield. So that's a good opponent for us. They're, 10, 15 minutes down the road. So I'm sure it's going to be a packed house, and everybody excited to renew that rivalry. We added Cardinal, who's actually going to join our league next year. We're going to play them this year. We added Berkshire, who we've done a foundation game with the last couple years. Very well coached. Excited to see them. Very great, very nice facility up there. To play there. We're at Camel this year, and Camel and us are in battle most times. Coach Canarino and I have had some pretty good, memorable battles throughout our times together. We have McDonald right after Christmas. And Coach Frangicelli and McDonald are going to be very tough this year, return pretty much everybody back from last year's team. And then we have another team we don't know a whole lot about, Western Reserve. We haven't played them previous, but we do have them on the schedule. And we welcome them in right after Christmas as well. And the last non-conference one is Girard. We started that up with them last year, and very low scoring, back and forth game that came down to the wire last year. We made some free throws at the end to win that one. So looking forward to that one as well.
Well, I like seeing your schedule full of other YSN teams, Coach. It's nice when we have all YSN matchups that'll get you on the network more and get more limelight on these kids. So when we talk about just coaching at Badger, and I think we've asked you this before, but you keep coming back to it. So what makes this community and this school system so special to you that makes you completely want to, fill up the program and fill your cup every season with as much effort as possible into Badger boys basketball?
This is a community that raised me. I grew up here. I went here, graduated from here. I've never left here. I've always lived in the community. So again, this community that raised me. So I try to give back as much as I can. We're always looking for opportunities to get out in the community and give back whenever we can. We've had some opportunities in the past and look forward to some things we can do this year to get the kids out in the community and show our faces and, support the people who support us. That's one of my favorite quotes. Without the support of the community, we can't be where we are, do what we do without them.
You have some time before the season starts, which means you have some practices and scrimmages left before the season starts. What's on the coaching staff's checklist of things you want to see and get accomplished before game 1 on November 27th?
You had a chance to see us on Saturday in Warren. I think defensively we still aren't where we want to be. And rebounding the same way. That's the two areas where I want to improve big time before game 1. And again, we don't do a whole lot in a preview like that. We just kind of go out and let the kids play and do what they do. But still in some of the scrimmages, we haven't rebounded as well as I wanted us to. And it's going to be weird not having anybody bigger than 6'2" out on the court for us. We're used to having one or two 6'4", 6'5" kids out there that are able to get rebounds and things like that. And now we're going to need everybody to rebound the ball and defend and do their part.
I'll tell you what, if you want to learn how to rebound, that East team that you played against in the program in the preview, that's a heck of a team to learn how to rebound against.
Yeah, oh yeah,
big and physical. Coach, when we talk about your coaching. When we talk about your coaching staff, we always want to give them a limelight too, because we know coaches get the interviews, they get the limelight, but you're not doing it by yourself, obviously. So let's talk about your coaching staff from top to bottom and the people that are behind you making this program what it is.
Yeah, we start with Dusty Carr, who's my JV coach, longtime girls coach for Badger. He was the assistant coach of the year last year for us. He does so much for this program that I can't begin to thank him for what he does off the court. He does a lot of our paperwork and things like that. I get something, I just give it to him to do it to help me out. And then in the middle school, we do have my uncle who coached with us last year. He's doing our 8th grade again this year. And then we lost our other 7th grade coach. So, my dad's been around the program, so I kind of threw him into the fire this year, and he's going to do our 7th grade. And then even my youth coaches, youth coaches don't get talked about enough for what they do for a program like us. We're not the other schools who can just go around and pick kids out of the, other area teams. And, we got to build our program from the bottom up. And, my youth coaches, Steve Sadler, Kyle Harnett, they do a good job, and I'm thankful for everything that they do in helping improve the kids. We do a K-2 program as well. So, we have volunteer coaches do that as well. I'm just excited and thankful for everything that they do for us.
Young coaches, listen up. But be nice to your dads now, because you never know when you'll have to ask them to coach 7th grade boys basketball.
That's exactly right.
Coach, we also want to give you the time to shine a light and shout out the family at home, because we know as much of that as that staff helps you build the program, you couldn't do it without the family at home that sacrifices and gives you support as well. So talk a little bit about your family and what makes them so special and how they allow you to do what you love, which is coaching basketball for 4 months, 5 months a year.
Yeah. It begins with my wife who, we don't really see each other much as it is. And then when basketball season comes, it's really non-existent. But for her to take care of home and help me out, the good thing with having YSN and other programs now is that we don't have to go out and scout as much. So that's nice. I remember the days of going out and, 3-4 hours away and scouting games or exchanging film and whatever we had to do to get a scout on the opponent. So it's nice to have a YSN where I can just stay home and watch the film or watch the game now. But my wife does a very good job of taking care of home and supporting me. And, then my son, who is a 6th grader now, so he's in the program now as well. And, he does a lot to support me and keep me on my toes as well.
I like that you bring up the YSN that lets you scout at the teams, because the shoes on the other foot too. Do you find that you see coaches and teams a little bit more prepared for what you do than maybe they were in the past before you were on YSN a lot? Yeah, absolutely. And you don't see those coaches in the stands, but they're watching you on YSN, or like I said, getting scout from somewhere else. But this has been a huge addition for us. Like I said, I can't begin to talk about how much and rave about YSN and what you guys do, and allowing coaches like me to sit at home and take notes instead of being at the game and do that. And now I get to spend a little bit more time with my family than I have in the past, and I'm very thankful for that. All right, one fun question before we let you go, Coach. Don't know how much integrated into pop culture you are, but I'm interested to know, do you have a favorite fictional coach from a movie or TV show that you kind of like inspired by, or that you like, hey man, I wish I could be like this coach? Any fictional coaches out there that you think are the GOAT? Norman Dale. That's my guy. Growing up, Hoosiers was a great movie for me. My team's on the court. And one of the cool things with that is, there have been some area teams that have been able to go play on that court. So, I'm hoping to get us out there at some point and play on that court as well. One day, Coach, we'll get you out there. We'll make the trip with you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Is
Maybe we'll get
an
2
experience.
ISN teams out there.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We'll put on the goal board. The goal board will be to get there with 2 YSN teams, Coach.
Yeah.
We want to thank you so much for coming on, talking to us about your program. You know we love hearing from you. We'll be out there covering you, so we'll talk to you in real soon.
Yes, sir. Sounds great, Anthony. Thank you.
It's real funny that at the end of that interview we talked about playing in Indiana and trying to get YSN teams down there, because a couple of days after I did that interview with Josh Upshire, I was able to interview trying to remember who it was. I think it's Garfield. I think Coach Oleski was talking about it on the show. He came on live, right? So Garfield is going to play Waterloo this year down there in Indiana at the Hoosiers court. So the court they filmed the Hoosiers movie on. So it's just funny that we're talking about that. And then we go in and we actually have 2 YSN teams playing each other over there this year. That's going to be fun for both those programs, for sure. What we're going to do now, before we end the show, we're going to hop into the scoreboard and show you what's going to be happening tonight. Boys and girls basketball, both in action tonight. And it looks like this. Excuse me. On the boys' side, you have Cardinal and Garfield playing each other at 7. East is at home. They will be playing Mizrachi. I've never heard of that high school, but they're coming to East. And then we'll have a all-local MVAC inter-tier matchup between Springfield and Crestview in Crestview tonight as well. Girls basketball, heavy slate of games tonight. Canfield at home against Our Lady of the Elms. You have Chalker and St. John. That game has been postponed due to weather. I think most of the Ashtabula County's games today and tomorrow have been postponed as well. So if you're out there, you're watching from the 440, next 2 days have been pretty much stopped because of weather up there. Heartland Christian has East Canton coming to town tonight. Girard hosting Lordstown. You have LeBray. They're back in action against Lowville at home tonight. Toronto will be at Southern. We have Fitch hosting Kinston, their home opener for the Falcons. West Branch welcoming in Struthers. What a tough way to open the season for Struthers. You have Middle Ridge, who's one of the favorites to win their conference. You have Warren Harding, who's one of the favorites to win their conference. And then West Branch, we all know what their program's about. That's a tough way to start the season. Struthers really, really testing themselves before they even get into NE8 play. Badger will be on the road against Maplewood tonight. Boardman travels to Warren JFK. We have Brookfield going to Niles. Camel goes to Valley Christian tonight. Champion will be at Poland. Champion beat the Bulldogs last year in Champion, so they're trying to make it 2 in a row against Poland on the road tonight. Poland trying to get their first win of the season. They lost their opener to Cheney last week. East Liverpool Beaver Local. It's red versus blue. It's the rivalry, and it is going down tonight. We'll have Mooney at home against Howland. Hubbard trying to stay undefeated as they travel to Salem. That game has been actually postponed. So excuse me on that. That game will not be happening. Jackson Milton will be traveling to Columbiana. Lakeview tries to stay unbeaten. They go to Newton Falls. Pymatuning Valley will travel to Grand Valley. We have Edison going to Wellsville tonight. Southeast will go to Mogador. St. Thomas Aquinas will be at Latonia. Warren Harding will go to Ursuline. We have Western Reserve at Cheney tonight. East will be at Liberty. Beaver will be hosting Freedom Mohawk on the road at Laurel, PA. So that's your slate of games. We'll get into the games that'll be on the network tonight as well. We have a good slate of games on the network tonight. Plenty of announcers out doing the work for us. Here are the games that will be broadcasted and the broadcasters that you can look forward to hearing on the call for tonight. We have the Southern Local game that'll be covered as Dom Pearson will be there for that one. CJ Strodes will be in Beaver for their matchup with Freedom. Dakota Kotzel will be in Niles for Brookfield and Niles. I will be in Poland for Champion and Poland. Gary Burton will have you covered for East Liverpool and Beaver Local. Joe Sebio will be in Columbiana for their matchup with Jackson Milton. Ty Bartell will be at Austintown Fitch for their home opener in the Nest. And then Matt Marr will be in Girard for their matchup with Lordstown. Once again, the Ashley Beulah St. John Chalker game has been postponed, and the Salem and Hubbard game has also been postponed. And that'll do it for the preview of tonight's action. We will be back to recap it all tomorrow on Running Point. Don't miss a minute of it. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Running Point, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. You know we try to do the same here on this show every single day. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning into everything that we do, whether it be broadcast, this show, Power Hour, interviews, whatever you do to support YSN. We thank you so much, and we will see you all again real soon. We'll be back here on Running Point shortly. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy some hoops, boys and girls, both in action.